Keep talking.
All right. Welcome in to State of the Nation. It is January 11th, January 12th, something like that. I don't remember the days. It's the 12th, right? Because tomorrow's the 13th when the season starts. I should know that. I'm Tyler Rumchuk. Welcome to State of the Nation. Different cast this week. Rick from both the Pint and Oilersnation Radio. Dan is here as well. Josh Park is here as well. We are live on video, of course. We are live on Twitch. We are also live on twitter.com/OilersNation, which you can check us out there as well. But in terms of reaching out and using the chat feature, I have Twitch open. So if you want to reach out, ask us questions, whatever, you can do so on Twitch. Brad Stepanko, Spanky Egg, already in the chat. Cheers to you as well, Brad. Boys, we are like, not that I should be doing math live on one of these, but we are like 30 hours away from the start of the NHL season. Josh Park, join us on the body. Fired up?
I'd say beyond fired up. I have no idea what to expect for this Oilers team. Well, I do. I have high expectations. I think they're going to do amazing. But honestly, the biggest thing is I think this is going to be not necessarily a breakout year, but I think a lot of players are going to exceed expectations this year. I'm looking at guys like Chris Russell. I want to see what his potential upside on the offensive end could be. You know, he's playing with a new defensive partner in Tyson Barrie. He's completely adapting to a new style of game. You know, you look at Yamamoto. Is he going to take another step? I just think there's so many things to be excited about for this Oilers team this year. So I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid, as always.
As you should. Rick, you ready? You fired up? You got your Oilers shoes on and all that?
No, but I can see him from here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pairs over there. I think I have to choose from tomorrow. I'm up and down. Part of the start of this season represents, like the big party and, just where I work and everything's just a big. Yeah. The game's almost like secondary. Once we get to the game, it means like the hard part's over and we get to enjoy this part. So that part's kind of missing. So I think once the puck drop happens, then I'm going to be fully engorged in the game. But right now I'm having some little mixed emotion just sitting at home. But every time I hear something like Josh go off like that, then I can feel the tingle in my skin and I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
Dan, let's get it, right?
Oh yeah, it's exciting times. You see the lineup this morning with Cahoon playing with Leon and Yamamoto. You've got Nuge up with McDavid. Every arrow is trending up except for the Carolina Hurricanes go in and throw a little wrench by picking up Anton Forsberg off of waivers from us. But it's time to be excited, everybody. I know it's a little bit different because we won't be in the stands for the home opener here against Vancouver. But it's just everything to be excited about this year. Even Steve Dangle, former friend of the nation,
former friend.
He's no longer a friend.
He used to work with us, but now he's on his own path. But he's picking the Oilers. So it's a good time to be alive. It's going to be a fun season. 10 games against the Canucks and the Flames, 9 games against the rest of the Canadian teams. We're in for a absolute show.
I'm supposed to be picking up a pass tomorrow so I can have the media access for the game. So I'm excited to be, there watching live hockey. I know, but I'm excited to hear the chirps, man. I'm going to get to hear the chirps that they won't let you hear on TV, which fires me up. I think that'll be so much fun.
You better be recording that for some of those podcasts coming up, eh?
Yeah, I'm sure the Oilers would love that.
Some prime footage in there.
Yeah.
Ty, are you getting that to 1260?
Yeah.
Unreal.
I'm fired up. I'm so stoked. Spank Egg, I'm picking up a pint meal for tomorrow's game. There we go, Rick.
I love it, buddy. I love it. Let's go.
All right.
Did you guys notice that who's not in the top 6 of the defense today?
Are you talking, is Russell not in the top 6?
Yeah, Cuckoo's there.
Oh, that's something interesting. Their lineup day one, that could be interesting, man. I mean, Kara could even be back in the lineup as well. I saw he was skating on the 4th line of clearing waivers.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That soliloquy I went on at the beginning about Russell is just useless now, hey?
I didn't want to say anything too early.
Dude, I thought lineup with Barry.
The lineup is just going to be so fluid this year. There's going to be so many changes in and out, and we're going to see, Gaetan Haas right now dealing with COVID. Like you're going to see a lot of fluctuations. This is going to happen. So you're not wrong about Russell. There's exciting things to come, but having Slater Cuckoo as an option is amazing.
How many games is Bouchard playing this year, Tyler?
I'd put him around 15, 20 in that range, kind of. I think that's sort of a safe expectation for Evan Bouchard this year. I think he'll get in, especially being their 4th best right shot D-man. Like, guys are going to get nicked up. Someone's going to go down for a week here and there. And, if he gets 2 weeks in the lineup, that could be 8 games right there. So I think he'll play a decent amount. We're 8 minutes away. As you can see, on the side of the stream here. 8 minutes away from the start of our OwnersBox draft. If you don't know what OwnersBox is, allow me to tell you about OwnersBox right now. It's basically a hybrid between normal fantasy sports and daily fantasy sports. So we're going to sit down. We're going to do our draft right now. There's 4 of us. And basically, you do your draft like you would any other fantasy hockey draft. Then you just skip the regular season and you go right to the playoffs. And in my opinion, it cuts out the boring middle part and it gives you all the best parts of fantasy sports. So excited for that. Check it out, OwnersBox.com. Throughout the year, we're hoping to do a bunch more of these contests and hopefully get some of you, the listener, the viewer, involved as well. That'd be a ton of fun, I think, if we open this up a little bit and eventually got like an 8-man pool going. We could work in a few listeners every week, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's great. You can play for cash prizes. You can play for free, all that good stuff. OwnersBox.com. I'm looking at our draft room right now. It's a snake draft. But Rick, you have the first overall pick.
I just noticed this.
Oh, I got the turn.
I wouldn't mind the turn. But Rick, is there any doubt with who you're going to be taking at first overall?
Absolutely none.
McKinnon. Best BPA, best player available.
Who do they have?
Defense first. Grab Evan Bouchard, right?
They grab Evan Bouchard. Maybe that's a good sleeper pick. All right, so basically, we're not going to be drafting it's not a very deep league. Obviously, we're going with I think it's 5 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 2 goalies is what you need, and you get your players. You set your lineup like normal fantasy for a week. And I didn't check who the first matchup is, but if it's me versus Dan and then Josh versus Rick, you play a week. The winners will then play each other in a final. You know how fantasy sports works. It'll be a ton of fun. A ton of fun. And it comes up in about 5 minutes as we're going to have the first pick. I'm picking second overall. I think I know where I want to go, but there's certainly a debate. I honestly think, though, I think the easiest pick in the draft is Josh at 4. Because, I mean, in my opinion, the top 4 is pretty clear. Although there could be a case for Ovi because he shoots the puck so much. But I go McDavid, McKinnon, and then either one of Draisaitl or Matthews, I'd be stoked to get. So, Josh, you're in a great spot, actually, because you get those back-to-back picks.
You're right. I got the best spot in the draft.
Well, and
that's the same as 2, though. That's the same as 2 because it's going to be Connor or Nate. But when it comes to 4, you now made the last of the easy decisions. If those are the definite top 4, you have the real tough one now because you have to choose who's actually the first overall pick now after you get those 4 guys out of the way.
I'm going to get no matter what.
And one of the things to watch for when you're doing weekly fantasy, as Tyler mentioned, it is a hybrid between the 2 types of fantasy drafts. So one of the things that his name is escaping me right now. You've had him on 2 podcasts. Brody Schnarr mentioned us is to watch for games played. So certain players will have a number of games that they have to go for the next 2 weeks. I've done my homework. Have you guys? But that's something to watch for in these weekly fantasy drafts because, if you draft a guy that has 3 games this week, but he only has 2 games next week, that might be an issue for the playoffs. So it's going to be a neat little format. I'm excited to try it because I have been involved with fantasy sports over the years. And especially with hockey, I just find that the season just drags on and you get one injury to your star guy and it lights out for the rest of your year. Whereas this, if Rick's first pick goes down, hopefully it is McKinnon and not one of the other guys that he could pick. But if he went down with an injury, even if it is just COVID and it's 2 weeks or it's a banged up knee for a couple of games, that could really hurt you for this fantasy draft. Yeah. But as Tyler mentioned, we could have listeners in for the next fantasy draft, and maybe you're not picking that guy in the top 4. So it's the best of both worlds. You get that live draft excitement, and then you get the reset after a couple weeks.
I'm an absolute fantasy hockey nerd, and the thing I love about this too is if you go to the lobby, there you can see all the NHL leagues that are available to draft. And then if you pick one, the draft starts as soon as it's full. So this morning I had 20 minutes to kind of kill. I saw a 2-person league that had 1 other person in it already. Bang. Oh, hey, there's Penn. God, you got to love doing a live video.
Sorry.
But I had some time to kill. So I was like, oh man, it's easy to just quickly get in a draft and it kind of scratches the itch of fantasy hockey drafts. But Rick's going to be on the clock in 3 minutes with the first pick, and we're going to go through our draft here. We'll have some time, obviously, to explain our picks, explain our decisions as well. One player, just looking at the rankings, and if you have any fantasy hockey questions, throw them in the Twitch chat, and we'll get to them here. One guy who's maybe not getting enough respect, in my opinion, is Artemi Panarin, a guy who honestly could have won the Hart Trophy last year. He had a sensational year, and they have him ranked pretty low on a lot of the ranking lists I've seen. Like, that's a guy who that Rangers team got deeper, and I really like Panarin. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that before I draft against you guys, but
I'm taking him fifth. You just convinced me, Ty. Thanks.
Good sell job.
Well, he's fifth. He's fifth in the NHL one.
Okay. So again, I was looking at ESPN. They had him like 19th.
Oof.
And a shout out
really
to
bad,
our
man.
friends. Our shout out to our friends over at dailyfaceoff.com. You can create your own kind of fantasy projections there. And like Tyler said, you could maybe value a Panarin where he's going to be getting more goals than necessarily other players. So yeah, you're right. There's all kinds of little tweaks here and there. One of the things that I did, I was running the Daily Faceoff Instagram account in the off season here.
Yep.
And so I just went through Daily Faceoff's rankings and had people voting on things back and forth. So it was interesting for me to see like Leaf players weren't getting as much love as I thought they should. And then a guy like Jake Gensel was like panned all over the place. Like we had him ranked at 16th on DFO. And by the time I ended it at 25, he still hadn't been picked by the fans of DFO. They picked the other player instead of him. So yeah, it's always interesting to see the guys that maybe get a little bit more love, like Ovechkin. Maybe he's slowing down here. Maybe he starts to get banged up and show some wear and tear. Probably not, but there's that opportunity to have that. Or like Brody mentioned, a guy like Kucherov, who's may have been picked early on in fantasy drafts and now is not playing for the rest of the season. So it's always fun to watch those guys slide and hopefully they slide to you in your draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I made a big mistake in my keeper fantasy league. It was like the 10th round and someone picked Kucherov and I was like, that's a terrible pick. Like, what the hell are you doing? He's not playing all year. And then I quickly remembered that, oh yeah, it's a keeper league. And this guy just outsmarted absolutely everyone because now he stashes Kucherov on his IR. And then I ended up doing the same thing in another draft I did last night where I stashed Tyler Seguin. I'm kind of hoping like last 2 weeks of the fantasy playoffs, you'll be able to bring Tyler Seguin in. But with OwnersBox here, you completely eliminate that. And Rick's on the board right now. I have a feeling he's going to go McDavid, correct?
Here's your pick.
See, so for me at 2... Whoa, that is really loud. I'm going to have to turn that off. There's the sound you'll get. I'm trying to figure out how to turn that off now.
Mine must not be on.
The decision I have here between, in my opinion, McKinnon and Draisaitl gets a little bit more complicated because McKinnon's only going to play 3 games. So in the OwnersBox setting, is 3 games of Nathan McKinnon more valuable than potentially 4 games of Leon Draisaitl or 4 games of Austin Matthews? And that's a tough choice. Especially like Matthews is getting 2 matchups against Ottawa. I like that schedule. I do like Draisaitl's schedule as well, though.
Okay, make a pick, Tyler. Jeez.
Hey, Ty, if you would have watched my, you went with Draisaitl. In my little fantasy preview, the fantasy preview, I said Draisaitl last year against Vancouver, lights out.
Well, there you go. I took Leon Draisaitl second overall, so we got McDavid 1, and we got Draisaitl at number 2. Coming up with the third pick here is the Danalytic.
Yeah, and this one hurts my heart to have to do this, but you're right, Tyler. He does have 3 matchups, 2 of them against the Ottawa Senators. It's Austin Matthews off the board joining the Danalytic squad.
I don't mind that pick. I do not mind that pick at all.
And that's where the games played comes into the factors of a weekly fantasy pool. It just is.
See, so now McKinnon's fallen to 4 here for Josh.
Yeah, he can't be upset at that. Can he?
Don't want him.
It's still the same issue, though, because the same 4 guys were going to go in the same top 4, I think. Yeah. And 5 is really where it gets going. I mean, there's a little bit of fun in how exactly they fall apart there. But see, there goes McKinnon there. That's the top 4 we expected. So this is this is when it gets going.
Oh, shoot. Oh, what did I just do? I just left the draft lobby.
It's a big mistake.
You got 47 seconds.
Oh, I'm back. We're back.
That's why that's
lighting Josh up.
Call that into the assistant to get him to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, boys, this is a tough
There's some good players on the board here. Ovi, Eichel, plenty of options.
But I was going to say, too, a subtle little thing that OwnersBox does is they list how many players of each position have been drafted up until this point. So it shows that four forwards have been drafted so far. Who just went off the board? Alexander Ovechkin.
Got it.
Josh Park. It's hard not to for sure.
All right, Dan Analytic.
Oh, it's tough. This is tough, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the guy has, it's loading. I hope. Come on. There we go. He has four matchups potentially. Goaltending's a little bit different, but I'm going to grab Vasilevsky.
It's not a bad pick, like especially because he's one of the few goalies who's probably going to play a lot, and they might even play him a little on back-to-backs as well, like if the games mean enough. So early in the year, fresh Vasilevsky, I don't mind that pick at all. I'm going back, and I'm going to take another forward action. I think this guy, not that it would be a breakout year, but I think he's going to have a big year, and that's Jack Eichel. He's finally got some talent to play with. He clicked with Victor Olofsson last year. He's got Halsey on the left side. I'm going Jack Eichel.
I like that pick. I like that pick. It gets Halsey someone to play with. I think those two guys can really take off. Click. Those guys are both at the point of their careers where they can take a huge next step, especially pay-wise, and they both want to win. And so, I can see that. You did say that there was one guy that you thought was kind of getting disrespected, so I'm going to jump on the boat right now, and we're going to grab the bread man, and Panarin's going to come over right now. Yeah,
and again, he's got 3 games. That's a decent pick, especially where we are in the draft right now. Still early, but I mean, it's outside of that sort of top 5.
And then we do need a certain amount. We need to spread it around, don't we?
It's tough with goalies in this format.
Yeah, I never know how much to weigh them. Like, what's the weight in goalies in this league? Like, are they set?
Their projection points are in the 70 range for the top end guys, and then it goes down pretty steadily from there.
Yeah.
But like the top 4 guys are projected to all get 70, so it's kind of hit or miss.
The thing I like on OwnersBox, and I'm doing it on the app, and the app looks great. You can get it on iPhone, Android, whatever. It tells you for goalies the amount of games they have and their projected games played, so like how many of them they're actually going to play. And another great asset to use is Daily Faceoff. They have the starting goaltenders up on the site and all that. Brock does a great job over at DFO. I'm actually going to wait on a goalie, and I'm going to jump on the defenseman right now because no one else has. 4 games coming up.
I just took Hedman.
Oh, you just took Hedman?
I just took Hedman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna take the second D-man and the D-man who I think is the best, and that's John Carlson. 4 games with that Capitals top power play. I'm liking John Carlson to get some shots on goal, get some points as well.
That's tough. I was sliding I was trying to start that defensive trend, but Rick got that kicked off for us. I'm gonna go back to the forward position, and I'm gonna just load up on some Maple Leafs, and we're gonna go with Johnny T.
All right.
I got the number one guy, and then hopefully the number 2 guy in Toronto.
Back to Josh Park for a pair.
Okay, boys. I think I'm going to take a goalie.
All right.
This guy isn't projected as high as I thought he would have been. He has 2 really good matchups this week. Last year, he went 2-0 against his team, .947 save percentage. And I think he's going to play both games. So I'm going to go Leonard.
Oh, that's the guy. I thought I'd be able to sneak him late in the draft. In the OwnersBox draft I did earlier, I was looking at Leonard, and I think he's a great pick, man. He's got a great matchup this week.
Really good matchup. And the lucky thing for them is they're not on a back-to-back, which means they could easily play him in both games if they want, because they're going to have a day off.
That's something to keep in mind with a short, condensed schedule when you're drafting goalies in these things is like how many of their games are back-to-backs, because like 4 games that are spread out during the week versus, a couple back-to-backs on either end, like that'll change things.
Yep. Big time.
Okay. Everything about this OwnerBox interface is amazing on the app, I have to say. I just keep finding more and more little gems.
I started on the website, and then I couldn't get that sound off, so I went to my phone, and the phone actually works beautifully. Josh Park, you got one more, man.
Yeah. I took this guy in a draft last night. I have high expectations for him.
Gino, Evgeny Malkin, hey?
Oh. He's my Russians.
Wow.
It's not bad.
Wow.
It's not bad. Ty, jeez.
How often has he gone before in Crosby?
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Sid the Kid's still on the board down here. A lot of really good
This is a tough pick for me again to make. I'm becoming a Leafs fan overnight here, but Morgan Riley is joining the Danalytics squad. I'm all Leafs all the time, which sucks. Because week 2 is all Oilers and Leafs. So, yikes.
Yeah. You might need some high-scoring games there. For me, this guy I'm going with, he's got a great set of matchups. In week 1, he's going to get Detroit twice. And then he's going to get Florida twice. Those could be high-scoring games. He's a top-line center. I am going with Sebastian Aho out of Carolina. I know Rick doesn't like Carolina. I know we're all mad at Carolina for taking Forsberg off waivers today. But I like Aho.
Yeah, that's fair. They have some really good players over there. I won't lie. I just think they might be a little bit on the small side. They kind of got beat. They can get beat up a bit from what I saw in the playoffs. So I mean, I don't watch a lot of them.
With your heart, though, you're in trouble. So yeah, you got to draft with your brain there. Yeah, that's a fair pick.
And we're just looking at forwards, right? We're not talking positions.
Yeah, it's just straight up forwards,
not and goalies.
Not center, left wing, right wing.
Well,
which I like. I like that format.
We were always talking about how much offense there could be at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take another shooter here, and we're gonna go with Stevie Stamkos.
Hey, that's not bad either, man. Defending Cup champs, Stamkos 100% healthy,
and he's gonna have a little bit to play for right now too, right? Because he exactly wasn't a huge part of that team that won the cup. So
yeah,
he has something to. He's gonna have a little more pushing him.
And still. No Kucherov there. So if you look at that power play, you could look at it and go, their power play is not going to be as deadly without Kucherov there. But you could also look at it and say someone's got to step up and take on that role of being the power play catalyst. That could be Stamkos.
Yep.
Ooh, I am up next.
Well, as much as this makes me feel icky doing, because I don't like the jersey he wears now, and I definitely didn't like the jersey he wore before this. Ty, you say that team, they got a good schedule ahead of them, so I'm going to take Dougie Hamilton off Carolina.
I knew it. Oh.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Rick. That's where I was going.
I am. I'm going to continue my run of taking good top line centermen. I'm going Braden Point. Talking about someone who might need to step up point production wise with Kucherov out. Point's going to get plenty of opportunities to do that on that top power play in Tampa. So I'm going with Point.
So, why is my brain thinking that the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't playing until the 19th?
That's the Dallas Stars.
The Dallas Stars. Okay, perfect. I'm glad that I was like, why are they showing up in my feed? Yeah. Well, I'm going to scramble here now because I was trying to convince myself otherwise.
Down to 30 seconds too. No pressure here.
Sean Couturier of the Philadelphia Flyers. Going to grab some points from Philly.
I think Couturier is a guy who, if you're doing the owner's box, he's valuable. And just on a general fantasy sports perspective, he's a guy where if you're in one of those category leagues that reward different things, Couturier is a fantastic pick. I think he's still a cool player. I think he's still one of the more underappreciated guys around the league.
Agreed. I think that whole Philly lineup could be argued as being underappreciated, really. Speaking of underappreciated, Josh Park.
Pietrangelo, hey?
Yeah, you know what? I hate that pick. Can I redo it?
No, you absolutely cannot.
Dude, I hate that pick. I don't know why I took him. I hated that whole, the whole thing that happened with him when he went to Vegas and the private jets and everything. I just thought it was so showy. Get out of here, Pietrangelo.
I wonder how they're going to split up the workload between Pietrangelo and Theodore. You can't really have two guys who produce as number one defenseman fantasy-wise. So I think one of them is going to be the right bet, and one of them, I think some fantasy owners might be a little disappointed.
They kind of went with an offense-defensive 1-2 before when they had Parayko there, right?
Yeah, in St. Louis.
Yeah. So
Patty
maybe you kind of do
Kane.
the same thing where you kind of split up those defense.
Love Patty Kane.
Josh Park sniping Patty Kane here. We're in round 6 of our Owner's Box draft. Thanks to everyone for tuning in on Twitch and Twitter. Still some real good players on the board here, but you'll notice we're starting, the guys who are now at the top of our draft list, a lot of them are playing 3 games. So it's now in that debate of, do you take a guy who's maybe you'd have in the B tier, or do you go take a C tier guy because you're getting the extra game out of him? And that's sort of where the strategy of this is going to come in. It's only the second time I've done a hockey draft on Owner's Box, but there's definitely a few more layers to it. It's a bit of a challenge. Oh boy, I'm up. All right.
I am now known as the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, another Leaf for Dan.
Freddie
He takes
Anderson.
Freddie Anderson.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about this. I just feel like they have 5 games in these 2 weeks. So that's a big mark right there, right? Yeah. But then also on top of it, they're playing the Senators, and then you got to think that they're going to be the Oilers and the Leafs game is going to be an absolute battle. That's the number one for the North Division kind of battle.
And that I like your logic there going with Leafs. I'm jumping on Mitch Marner right now. Again, top 6 guy, going to play with some talent, and he has a pretty good schedule. So I'm happy with Marner in the spot I got him.
Man,
I won't lie. I was kind of looking at that one there.
Draft. for anybody that's tuning in right now and you've ever done a live draft on an app, I think for any of the other apps, they do their best, but like this is absolutely crisp and clean. There's nothing that you can't like about this other than maybe the sound, which just gets you hyped. That's all it is.
The sound just isn't good if you're on a live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at my team right now, man. I don't have a goalie yet, and I'm maxed out on forwards. So I need to figure this out a little bit here. I got to start rounding out my group a little bit better. Huh.
I like that it tells you what power play they play on.
Yeah, and that's the other nice feature of things too on the app when you look at a player, and that's not going to come across very well on the stream, but you'll have Mika Zibanejad, then it tells you, he's playing on line 1 and power play 1 as well. Yeah, there you go, Dan. That should show up pretty well. But that's a really cool little feature here that they have, along with the average games.
All powered by DFO as well.
Beautiful.
Don't quote me on that, but I believe DFO powers that, so you can trust it.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about guys who like to play on power plays. Whose power play was the best last year?
Alex Chason's.
Q Tyson Berry pick, Rick? Oh, wow.
You
know what?
He did it.
There it is.
Round 6 and 7 going Berry and Crosby. That's pretty good value right there.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Draft last night. Guy took Barry in the 2nd round.
Yikes.
Wow, that's probably a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah.
I love it.
Slightly.
Tom Brady first overall in a football draft though once. He's just doesn't do well.
Roman Josi, yeah, that's a good pick.
Hey, man, Norris right there, and I'm getting him late, too. I got Carlson and Yossi. Those are the two guys
How
who
good
could
is
very
their
well
team going
win the
forward
Norris.
here, though? How good
right.
are they this year?
I think the Predators, they're in an interesting spot because I think they have a lot of guys with something to prove. Like Duchesne's not coming off a great year. Johansson's kind of at a weird point. Victor Arvidsson needs a bounce back. There's a lot of Michael Granlund's going to be on a 1-year deal there. There's a lot of pieces in that Nashville lineup who can kind of be a little boom or bust. But they got the blue line, right?
They're at that peak then, right? Where that's like, if they don't do it this year or maybe next year, you're going to start moving pieces out for new pieces, maybe starting fresh again.
And I think David Poile even got a little bit of that itch this past offseason when they were bounced. And you wonder if Poile, maybe if things don't go well this year, if we could see big changes. Rene, I believe, is a UFA at the end of the year. They've kind of started to just run with UC Saros, though. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in Nashville if things don't go well. Man.
I just snuck
Gotta start
my
doing even
pick
more
for the Norris trophy there.
Should I be a full-out dummy and take Shea Theodore? Just I can match up on both of them?
I mean, stacking them up like that, I don't know. I don't know if I would do it with D-men, but because when you think about it, will both of them get a lot of points in a 1-week span?
I'm taking an absolute flyer here. It's my guy.
Kale McCarr, good Alberta boy. AJHL product. Shout out to the AJ.
Shout out to the juniors.
Yep. Kale McCarr. I like that pick, man. And on a Colorado team where he's getting good power play minutes and all that, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kale McCarr hits the 50-point mark in a shortened season. He's that good. And that team
These
he's
little
with is
tight
so good.
drafts are awesome. Because it's like everybody's going to be so stoked on their lineup. So jacked up. But it's going to be a game of inches. That's all it is. It's going to be just an absolute game of inches this week or these next 2 weeks. And you'll be able to follow along on ON Radio podcast. We'll keep you updated there as we go along. Josh, you'll have to make sure you hop on at some point there. We try to get you in just to chirp you and then kick you out again.
And I'm always there for the it's me again.
Yeah, Josh, we're waiting for you, man.
7, 6,
5 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Dude, I didn't realize it was me again.
Wow, Hellbuck gets in there.
I'm an idiot. That's okay. I got my guy.
Well, here's a guy that has 3 matchups both weeks. I don't know. There's not much else I can be said about it. I'm surprised I got him at this point. Elias Pettersson.
That's a good pick. I got to go back to more D-men because I'm full on forwards. I'm going to go with Ivan Provorov. He's got a couple of games coming up against Pittsburgh, and it's usually a bit of a shootout when Philly plays Pittsburgh. So I like Provorov. He's on that top power play unit. Good young D-man.
Man, this interface, I know I keep talking about it, but it makes it so you don't even have to do your homework.
No, yeah, you can basically
you can just log in and play. It's awesome.
Carter Hart, Hat.
They're doing
hat.
Yeah, I figured it's time to pick up a goaltender here. I kind of like I like what I got there in him. I know he has 1 back-to-back, but maybe he'll get 3 extra wins for me.
One more pick here for Rick.
Yeah, and this says I need a forward and one goaltender, eh?
I need 2 goalies with my last 2 picks. I'm not sure what to do. Or wait, do we only pick 1 goalie or do we pick 2?
No, it's 2 goalies.
No, you take 2 goalies.
You need 2.
Mikko
Right,
we're gonna go.
Just saying.
Yeah, no, it is tempting to go with big Mikko, but with goaltenders, I really want to be playing the matchup. And I like, so Koskinen's going to get 1 start against Montreal, 1 start against, he might get 2 against Montreal this week, but what if he only gets 2 starts? I'm going to go elsewhere. I'm going to go with a guy who I think is going to get 3 starts this week, and that's Peter Mrazek. He's got a couple of matchups against the Red Wings, not on back-to-backs. I like going with Peter Mrazek right now.
Really quick, right off the board, Zach Werenski comes to the Toronto Maple Leaf Analytics.
The Maple Dans.
The Maple Dans.
Oh boy, guys.
Josh Park, you get to round out your team right here.
It really is fascinating to see like who goes undrafted in this. Because one, like you said, it's a small league. There's only 4 of us. We're picking relatively small rosters in the owner's box format. But like Carey Price, like is anyone going to take Carey Price, or do you look at his matchups and go, I don't trust him to maybe pitch a shutout in any of those 3 games?
Yeah,
it's tough.
All right, there we go. Done.
You're done. Is that your full squad? Chris Letang, final pick
squad.
for Team Josh.
That's it.
I'm going with the all games played strategy. So Brock Besser, who has 6 games to play this week or these next 2 weeks, that's my guy. That rounds out the Toronto Danalytics.
But what I will say is, similar to the strategy with DraftKings, stacking guys who are on the same line is probably a smart approach, and even in the weekly format here. I'm going Darcy Kemper. He's got some starts against the San Jose Sharks. I like his chances to do that. Remember, you can make 2 swaps. So you can make ad drops here. So if you really hate your Pietrangelo pick, if you hate something else you did in the draft.
Somebody gets banged up, whatever it is, you can make that switch.
Tyler, can you do trades?
I don't think you can do trades. I think it's just straight ad drops.
Yeah, I think it's just dropping. This is the first time I've ever been able to do it. I hope we get to keep doing this with other people. I'm looking forward to being able to play.
We're rolling. We're doing a matchup.
It's Josh versus Dan.
Me and Ty.
Oh, there you go.
Ty versus Rick.
All right, just going through the teams again. Rick picked first overall. Your forwards are McDavid, Panarin, Stamkos, Crosby, Svechnikov. Your D-men are Hedman, Hamilton, and Barrie. And between the pipes, you got Hart and Samsonov. I picked second. I went Draisaitl. After that, I went Eichel, Aho, Braden Point, Mitch Marner, John Carlson, Roman Josi, Ivan Provorov, Peter Mrazek, and Darcy Kemper. Up next, Danalytic. He started with Austin Matthews and loaded up on the Maple Leafs. He took Tavares as well, Morgan Riley. He also had Sean Couturier, Pettersson, and Besser as a stack. Jones and Werenski, 2 Blue Jackets on the blue line. Vasilevsky and Freddie Anderson between the pipes. Josh Park had the swing, the 4-5 pick. He went McKinnon-Ovi, which is tremendous. Got Malkin, Kane, Laine, Pietrangelo, Makar, Letang, and then his goalies Leonard and Hellebuck. Boys, it's gonna be a ton of fun. OwnersBox.com. It's new. It's weekly fantasy sports. You can do basketball, hockey, football, whatever you want. Check them out. And they're also giving away a PS5 right now. If you play in a contest, you get entries for a PS5. Simple as that.
We can't overstate enough how easy that was, though.
Yeah.
That was 15 minutes to do a draft between 4 dudes. Now we can change it up and we can add in more men and women as we go. But that was seamless. Absolutely great little interface there. Not a lot of time, not a lot of effort, but a lot of fun. And now we get to go and chirp each other for 2 weeks straight.
Beautiful. Guys, thanks for hopping on the call here. This has been State of the Nation. Rick, Dan, Josh, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Pleasure.
Yes. Be safe.
All right, everyone. Have a good week, and I'll see you back on the stream soon. This has been State of the Nation, January 12th. Hockey